everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and another video. It's been quite a while. In fact, I can't even remember how long ago my last upload was. Something tells me it was probably about the end of September 2025, maybe early October, and that would have been on the back of a couple of Melton Olympic time trials. I think it probably was then. That's not to say that I've not kind of been thinking about doing something in the meantime, but yeah, it's either been a time thing or maybe something that well, just something that I didn't think would be of interest. So I need to get back into this. It's March the something or other 2026, and I don't know whether or not you'll be able to see this in the background or not, but time trial bike is loaded into the boot of the car, and this is the first TT outing of the season. So it's only a short one, but it's quite an interesting sort of course profile, and it's a Sunday morning, so I thought, well, I'll just give this one a shot. So it's only about 5.5 miles, but there's a couple of nasty little hills in here, one little short and steep, and the other one is sort of a long drag, which I think I've only actually ridden on a road bike, or more like actually a gravel bike for sort of other reasons, getting in between trails, that type of thing. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, and actually most of my sort of motivation for doing this is I have ridden my time trial bike twice on the road since September. It's been on the turbo trainer almost exclusively since November. I've started working with a coach. I have a new club or team that I'm riding for, and so rather than just do the usual sort of Club 10 circuit, I am mixing things up a bit this year. And because I've spent so much time on the turbo trainer and only a couple of it's probably like 3 hours actually on the road riding the time trial bike, so I thought, well, yeah, and it's all good and well sort of going out and doing training rides as well. There's nothing quite like, you know, having a number on your back and racing genuinely against the clock. So yeah, I don't know really what I'm kind of expecting from myself, but most of all it's about sort of getting the time in. In terms of what I've been doing with a coach over the last few months, I think if I sort of summarize it briefly, it's about being able to stretch the power that I have, sort of usable power, because definitely over the last 12 months, maybe even the last 2 years, I've done a hell of a lot of VO2 work, but you know, for anybody who's done any sort of structured training, you know that VO2 typically is quite short intervals, at least compared to sort of you know, threshold, sweet spot, that type of thing. So yeah, the last few months has been very much actually a hell of a lot less VO2, a lot of zone 2 still, and yeah, sort of doing much longer intervals to, you know, anything that I've done really for the last few years. I think looking back, I used to actually do them sort of inadvertently whilst riding a road bike, but since moving over to time trialing, I've not really done that. It's incredibly blustery as well, so it's going to be it's the ideal way round, let's say. It's a pretty nasty headwind on the way out, and yeah, then what should be a rather pleasant tailwind on the way back. So I think I'm just going to ride this as a all-out effort on the way out, get myself up the hills, and then hang on ultimately, and see what I can do. But I'm going to have to save a little bit in the tank, because there's about, I don't know if it's 1/4 mile that's sort of uphill, probably averages about 4.5–5%. So yeah, let's see how everything that I don't know if I've learnt it, but certainly what I've been taught over the last few months, let's see if I can actually put it into practice. So it'll be fun in any case, and I suppose if nothing else, it's time on this bike, and it will also give me a bit of an indication as to how well I've taken those lessons on board, and yeah, then next few weeks see what I need to keep working on ultimately. So there we go, enough waffle for now. Let's get kitted up sign on will be in about 20 minutes. My plan is to sort of do a extra warm up, considering this is only 5 and a bit miles, really just to get a bit of volume in. Yeah, see how we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, it happened. Not the race did happen, but actually me remembering to record an outro. Be very short. I think my time was 13:42, something like that. In any case, very pleased in that it was the fastest time on the day. There was, I think, 7 or 8 of us in total. It was 7 riders. The first guy who went off actually had to start again, so he became number 8. But regardless of the result, actually, the thing I was really pleased with was power overall. So obviously it's shorter than what I typically train for. Yeah, early sign, I mean, you know, it's a one-off at the moment. Let's see how I fare when it comes to doing the 10s and that type of thing. But signs are good. I'm pleased. It was a good way to spend a Sunday morning. The conditions are absolutely horrific. You will see, horrific. It's dry. But God, it's so windy. And even before anybody set off, even just during the warm-up, there was conversations about, did you manage to stay on the extensions all the way down the hill? I ended up in the middle of the road more than once, but managed to cling on and yeah, just braved it. So pleased overall. Thank you to everybody who obviously put this race on. Couple of timekeepers, guys at the start, etc. Had a lovely ride over here. I'm sure they're not going to have a particularly nice ride traveling back because they're going into the wind, but then stand around for sort of 3/4 of an hour waiting for other people to ride the bikes, I think deserves a bit of a applause, to be honest. So I do hope you like the footage. Thank you for watching. If you've got any comments or questions, do drop them in the section below, and I'll see you again in the next one.